You broke my heart, Zach.
I did.
You broke my heart.
You like that, old man? You want a piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do? You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Happy Tuesday, moviegoers. Welcome to episode 378. Welcome to The Godfather Part 2. You are listening to another new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Juan, and I am joined by the other good fella.
That's a different episode.
Zach.
What is up, everybody? How's it going on in Movie Land? Are you doing okay, Johnny?
Dude, it is a fabulous Tuesday. It's a brand new week. It's a brand new episode. I cannot wait to talk movies with you again today.
We're starting a new theme today. Are you excited?
Dude, I am. I'm very, very excited. A new theme, a new year is right around the corner. A whole nother new year for the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. We're going on year number 8 as far as a full calendar year. And we get to talk The Godfather today. We get to talk Godfather Part 2. Our new theme for 2026 is IMDb's Top 250. We are going to talk some of the greatest movies of all time, starting today, going forward all the way through next year. Even if it's something we might have already talked about, if it's on the IMDb Top 250, we're covering it. Also, last week we put a nail in the coffin to 2025 as far as that theme goes. We talked Matthew McConaughey. We also ranked our top 5 Matthew McConaughey films. So if you want, go back and dig out into the archives and listen to that episode because it's out. It's available. And we talked Matthew McConaughey all last week, all year. So if you have some extra time to listen and you want to kind of dig some of us up, if this is your first episode, go back in the archives and listen to us. You can find all of our links and past episodes in the social media pages. So social media pages like facebook.com/The Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Instagram is all one word, Cine-Men Movie Podcast. X is at Cinemen405. Or you can send us a good-old-fashioned email, cinemen921@gmail.com. We got a jam-packed show for you.
Or if you're just out shopping for the holidays and you need something to listen to our lovely voices. We'll keep you company.
Yeah. Or if you need something to spend your money on. It is the holiday season. Donate. Get Zach some headphones. Look, he's over there headphoneless. Just like the headless phone jack horseman, whatever it's called. But no, all seriousness, let's hang out. Let's talk movies. Zach, how was your week?
It was pretty good. Went by fast. You know, we literally have like 2 weeks till Christmas tomorrow almost. And so I'm just like, guys, let's slow it down a little bit. But you know what? I'm excited. We're going into a new year. Means new promises that I probably won't keep, but we'll see. What about you?
You know what? It was a fast week. Just kidding. Today was Tuesday. It felt like I went through Tuesday and Wednesday in one day.
Yeah, I agree.
Today was kind of god awful. And you know, if I could be serious and real for a moment, it has been a treacherous week. Mentally, physically, it has been so devastating. The highlight of my week was Sunday, sitting down and watching all 3 hours and 25 minutes of The Godfather Part 2.
So you just did it raw and did the whole thing in one sitting, huh?
Oh, dude, I had to. My recent watches are super, super quick, so I'm going to go through them just real fast. A Christmas Vacation, Home Alone, Scrooged with Bill Murray, Godfather Part 2, and yes, I did start The Reckoning, Sean Combs documentary on Netflix. It is insane. I'm on episode 3. It's very, very good. I got to give it up to whoever put it together, 50 Curtis St. Jackson. Dude, it's tremendous. I also watched a little documentary on Amazon Prime, The Decades of Christmas, or Christmas by the Decades, or whatever. They talked about the 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s. Fantastic documentary. They're only 40 minutes apiece. There's 4 of them. If you're into Christmas and if you're into decades and stuff like VH1's I Love the 80s, go back and check it out.
Okay.
So,
do I have any recent watches other than The Godfather? I watched. Oh well, okay. I'm kind of into PBS, and sidebar, you won like 2 months free of PBS Passport, and there's a show on there called All Creatures Great and Small. It's like a British soap opera. It has 6-7 episodes a season. The new one's about to start in January, so I'm like on series over there on series 3, and so I'm like 2 episodes in, and if you like, it's very British, and so I only can watch like an episode at a time, 1 episode at a time. So other than that, Godfather Part 2, yeah, go Paramount Plus it up and watch Landman. It's excellent. We're 3 episodes in. It's awesome. So
speaking of some streaming services, Zach, we got to talk about the whole Netflix and Warner Brothers thing.
We got 2 big news stories before we can get to Godfather. We got Netflix buying Warner Brothers, and we got Golden Globe nominations. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Let's go with the Netflix deal, because it's not set in stone yet, right?
So preliminary as of today, it's not. They're technically won the bid to buy it, but the actual deal going through won't happen until probably 9 months from now. So maybe October, November of next year. So don't expect to go on Netflix one day and say like, oh, I can watch The Sopranos or Game of Thrones or whatever. That's not going to happen.
Oh.
So what's your thoughts about this? I mean,
So I did read that once it happens, the Netflix CEO was like, this is going to be good for the movie business, because let's say big blockbusters like Superman, you're only going to have 2 weeks to go visit them in the theater before it goes away for a month, and then it comes out on streaming, and then it may not even come out on physical media. So
we all know that Johnny is very opposed to this.
So here's my thoughts on it. Everything is going to get up and bought up eventually by 1 or 2 big things. I think in the next 10 years, it's going to be Disney, ABC, and ESPN versus Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're both going to just start, this is $1 billion buyout. So
$82 billion.
But this is insane to me, because I mean, do you get everything that Time Warner has and HBO has? Because that means you're eventually getting the streaming rights to TV shows, documentaries, wrestling shows, HBO pay-per-views if they still have it.
Mm-hmm.
HBO Max has a deal with college football playoff. They show 1 playoff game a year. So all this stuff is just crazy to wrap your mind around if you sit there and think about it. What kind of instant classics are going to be coming to Netflix in the next year? Also, is it going to be one of those things where, oh, guess what? You're not going to be able to stream things right away. Is Warner Brothers going to lose certain contracts that, let's say a movie that they have, name something that's not a Warner Brothers movie, but they have the rights to stream. Like, don't they have the rights to stream like New Line Cinema movies?
No, because technically Warner Brothers has New Line Cinemas, because that's what you can watch Lord of the Rings on HBO Max.
So yeah, I mean,
here's my thing about it. I totally agree with you. It's Netflix. On one hand, it's smart. We're going to spend $82 billion and we can get, Sinners when it hits streaming services or whatever. The only problem with that is there's a couple things. One, they've come out and said that the Warner Brothers will still be able to release their theatrical releases for a time being. Number two, HBO Max is still going to be its own separate streaming service for now. Now, what that means this time next year, is it going to be where you log into Netflix and say you can do Netflix or HBO Max, kind of like how Disney Plus and Hulu is?
Yeah, it'll be like that probably.
And so my thing about Netflix, this whole thing is just like, number one, it's very based on analytics of like, this is what sells. Stranger Things is the number one, so we're gonna do everything Stranger Things theme, whether it relates to it or not. My other thing is like, if you give these creators, like perfect example, Guillermo del Toro, so much money to do Frankenstein, and it has that kind of critical reception, why wouldn't you do a wide theatrical release? Not only do you have to do it in order to qualify for the Oscars, but you have such a good product. Why don't you let people go see it?
This is the beginning of the end for movie theater moviegoers.
I hope not, but like you said, I mean, perfect example, Wake Up Dead Man, the new Knives Out, it literally was in theaters from Thanksgiving till this Friday when it hits Netflix, and then it's a Netflix movie now.
I swear Netflix is only releasing because of, like you said, the Oscar rule. What are we going to do in 3 years when that's not a rule anymore?
I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Not only that, but on Sunday, Paramount actually did like a quote unquote hostile takeover bid and say, we'll give you $18 billion, I think, cash, if we can have the rights to Netflix or Warner Brothers. Which, in my mind, if you're going to do this, part of me feels better of another studio absorbing another studio. Does that make sense?
No.
And that way, at least everything kind of stays the same. There might be a little couple rule changes, but we still get theatrical releases. We don't have to worry about, if you don't go see
what if
you don't go see Weapons in 2 weeks, you have to wait at Netflix.
Hold on a second. What if in, let's say, 5 years, AMC fall? What do we do if Netflix buys AMC?
I say it's the apocalypse for moviegoing. But the only positive about that is that at least
they get all the revenue from the movie being out in theaters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. And
that would be a first time ever to where now movie theaters only get 1% of movie tickets sold. The rest of it goes to the studios. But in this situation, Netflix grabs every single piece, every single penny. Maybe concessions can go down. Maybe movies that are supposed to be streaming only on Netflix are both streaming on Netflix and at the Netflix theater.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what? This is going to be a really good test to see how this works out, because say what you will about the show. I know you're not a big fan of it, but they're putting the series finale of Stranger Things in the theater. And dude, I literally was like, okay, that's cool. Maybe a couple people show up. It's sold out. It's sold out at the Warren. It's sold out at Quail. It's sold out, wherever else they're going to show it.
How long are they going to put it in theaters for?
Huh?
How long are they putting it in theaters for?
It's just, but that's the other thing. It's only for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, and then they're pulling it. But if it makes that much money, like I was just going through some of the times that it was shown on New Year's Day, and it's 50%, 60, 80% full. And so, like, if it brings in that much revenue, it might give Netflix a hint of saying, well, maybe we should put some of these more quality movies in the theater for a longer period of time.
Like Happy Gilmore 2.
You said that, not me.
Speaking of The Man, his new George Clooney movie just dropped today.
Yep, my mom's actually in the living room watching it right now. I was like, "How dare you?" Speaking of which, so do you have any more thoughts about that, or is it just kind of like this is towards the end?
The end is near.
And to put it in perspective, this buyout is much more than what Disney paid for 20th Century Fox.
Yeah. But speaking of some old school movie news, nominations.
Yeah, yesterday we got our our kind of quote unquote start of the film race to the Oscars award season. The Golden Globe nominations dropped. I'm not going to go through all the categories. We'll go through kind of like the best picture, best director, and kind of actor and actress. And as a reminder, Golden Globes are divided up by musical or comedy and drama. So we kind of got like two separate categories going. So we'll start with best director. Let's start with that. Best director, we got Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another, Ryan Coogler for Sinners, Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein, Jafar Bunhani, It Was Just an Accident, Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, and Chloe Zhao for Hamnet. I think we would like Del Toro to win, but I think it's going to be between Coogler and Anderson.
Coogler's not winning Best Director. I'm sorry.
How dare you? Let's just
he's not winning Best Director. It's going to go down to an artista-like director. Who's the second one you said?
The first one, the second one was Coogler. First one was Paul Thomas Anderson, which he should have won for freaking There Will Be Blood for 10 years ago or whatever, almost 20 years ago. So it's probably going to be due. It's probably his time to win, but we'll see. Best actor in a motion picture, musical, or comedy. Timothée Chalamet for Marty Supreme, George Clooney for Jay Kelly, Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, Lee Byung-hun for No Other Choice, and Jesse Plemons for Begonia.
I haven't seen any of those yet.
I think Leo's the front runner. I've heard a lot of things about Marty Supreme. Chalamet, they say it's Chalamet's best performance, but I haven't got to see it yet. This one's stacked. Best supporting actor in a motion picture. Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein, Paul Mescal for Hamnet, Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, Adam Sandler for Jay Kelly, and Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value. I think we would like
best supporting actor.
Yeah, I would love to see Elordi win for Frankenstein.
Adam Sandler.
No, what's wrong with you? Just saying. You were on that episode, Best supporting actress in a motion picture, Emily Blunt for The Smash Machine, Elle Fanning for Sentimental Value, Ariana Grande for Wicked for Good, Inga, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that name, Lilias for Sentimental Value, Amy Madigan for Weapons, and Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another. Best actress in a motion picture, musical, or comedy, Rose Byrne, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked for Good, Kate Hudson for Song Sung Blue, Chase Infinity for One Battle After Another, Amanda Seyfried for The Testament of Anne Lee, and Emma Stone for Begonia. And then best actor for a drama, Joel Edgerton for Train Dreams, Oscar Isaac for Frankenstein. This one kind of made me laugh. Dwayne Johnson for The Smashing Machine, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent, and Jeremy Allen White for The Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere. That's an interesting category. Best actress in a motion picture drama, Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, Jennifer Lawrence for Die My Love, Renée Reneves for Sentimental Value, Julia Roberts for After the Hunt, Tessa Thompson for Hedda, and Eva Victor for Sorry Baby. And then our two main big categories, Best Picture, Musical, or Comedy, Blue Moon, Begonia, Marty Supreme, No Other Choice, Nouvelle Vague, and One Battle After Another. And then our Best Motion Picture Drama, Frankenstein, Hamnet, It Was Just an Accident, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. So I think both of us would love to see Frankenstein take away some hardware out of all this, but I think it's going to come down. It's going to be the battle of One Battle After Another versus Sinners this year. So we talked about Sinners back when it came out in April. We'll talk about One Battle After Another next month for its Blu-ray release. So you'll hear our thoughts. Ready for The Godfather Part 2?
Well, after all that, man, today I'm excited, man. We're kicking off a brand new theme. We talked The Godfather Part 1 a few years back. Today we are talking The Godfather Part 2. The early life and career of Vito Corleone in 1920s New York City is portrayed while his son Michael expands and tightens his grip on the family crime syndicate. Starring Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Robert Duvall, Diane Keaton, John Cazale, Talia Shire. You also have written by Francis Ford Coppola and directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Also starring Bruno Kirby. Currently on IMDb, this movie gets a 9 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes at 96%. The Metascore is at 90%. The Letterboxd is at a 4.6 out of 5. With a box office of $94 million. The box office, this movie was on a budget of $13 million. It was nominated for 11 Academy Awards. It won 6, including Best Picture. And then out of the IMDb 250, this is ranked number 4 on IMDb's 250 greatest movies of all time. Zach, let's get into it. I'll go first. This is probably a handful of times I've seen this movie. I think the first time I finished this, I was a young pup working at FYE. Somebody handed me the trilogy and was like, you need to buy this. I bought it, watched all 3 back to back to back, and I really did like the second one. But at the time, I was like, I think the first one was still better. This time around, and the last few times around, I think this is the superior film of the 3. So yeah, if I had to pick one word after my most recent watch, I'd pick superior. What about you?
I think the first time I saw this film, I bought the Blu-ray collection, the Coppola Blu-ray collection at Target. After I saw the first one, I was like, wow, the first one's amazing. I get the hype. Part 2, I've always acknowledged it's a good movie. It's probably more than a good movie. It's probably a great movie, but I've always kind of favored the first one, in my opinion. So finishing this, I was like, it was kind of a good reminder. I was like, okay, yeah, I get why people like the Part 2, maybe a little bit more than Part 1.
So let's dig into it. If you guys have not seen this, we're at 20 minutes in the episode. Go check it out on Paramount Plus. You can buy the movie
last year, so
yeah, you can buy the movie very cheaply on just single disc Blu-ray, or you can get the 4K resolution collection like I have, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and it also comes with the Coda edition of Part 3, and then it comes with 2 extra bonus discs. So Zach, let's talk about it, man. This is ranked number 4 on our IMDb top 250 that we're going through next year. I gotta say, I think the way it kicks off, and I always divide my 3-hour movies into Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. I don't do an intermission. I just take the entire thing at once, and I am just like in awe. I'm like, okay, so let's rewind the clock back. 7 years ago, in the movie timeline, you get the ending of The Godfather of Michael closing the door while Kate's just sitting there and she's staring him down. You can already tell she's in disgust. The music is playing in the background. Michael's getting his hand kissed. He is the Don. He is, he is the Godfather. In this movie, you see Michael completely take his throne of power, and he just looks everybody in the eye as the film is going through, and he's like, I'm not my father. I'm ruthless. I'm cutting edge. I will step on your toes and cut them off at the exact same time. But I love how the film goes through and just rewinds the clock back on Vito as Robert De Niro is playing a wholesome gangster who is climbing himself up into the ranks. And it almost, I get the sense of it's just like telling you the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but it rolls an extra 20 miles because Vito and Michael are decades and stargazes away from each other as far as the heads of their certain syndicate family in 2 different decades.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest positive I can give about this movie is that anytime we're in the past showing how Vito becomes Don Corleone, I love it. I really enjoy the mythology and the character building of that character, and how even from the beginning, it's all about revenge from that Don in Sicily basically killing his whole family, essentially. I think the opening of the funeral, and it just opens up in gun violence, I think is incredibly powerful. The way you open up is just like a metaphor for like the senseless violence that will continue with this person. But when we keep cutting back to Michael, it's not that I didn't enjoy it. I felt like Michael's story in this, even though it was much more interesting in the first one, where he's trying not to become what his dad wants him to be. And in this one, it's much more like, no, I totally agree with you. I'm much more than my dad, and I will be more ruthless than him. And I felt like, again, we're in a movie 50 years old, so it's not like big spoilers, but I felt like, and maybe it's the way Pacino plays the character, I felt like from the beginning, he was always on to his brother Fredo. And
Yes.
And so that to me was just like, when is the apple going to fall, and when is he pull the trigger? Quite literally pull the trigger.
From the moment, and that's a beautiful scene, by the way, even though it's like dangerous and they're in their bedroom and it's a drive-by / murder attempt, Michael already knows. He's playing chess while, let me pull up names, but
Fredo's playing checkers.
Well, not only Fredo, because they're all in it together. So while Fredo's playing checkers, Hyman Roth is playing checkers, Frankie Pinagelli is playing checkers, Michael's ahead of all of them. He's playing chess. He knows that they all three had something to do with it. He's sitting there blaming one, telling the other, telling the other while blaming the one.
Yeah.
And it's just like he's too smart for his own good. And the way Al Pacino in this movie is just snap, crackle, pop, as far as like calm in 1 minute and then yell and temper flares in the next. It really shows you, what kind of skilled actor he is. But to me, it brings so much more to the table as far as the character goes, because you got to remember the character. He was the wholesome Marine. He was the wholesome Army boy. He was the guy who was going to fight and bleed for his country, not his family. Yeah. And then it wasn't until the police officer slapped him and woke up the dog in the fight that he was like, all right, let's go to work.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. I mean, like, he was very wholesome. He's humble. He didn't want nothing to do with his father's empire. It was Sonny who was the hothead in the first movie. And even Fredo is very much like, no, I'm going to be over here in the corner doing my own thing. But I agree. Like when that cop slaps him, it's almost like the monster is born in that moment.
And John Cazale died super young at 42. He died a few years later, 1978. Let's not take away from John Cazale and I'm having a stroke. Let's not take away from John Cazale in the movie who's playing Fredo. In that scene where they're out staring off into the lake, and Fredo is explaining to Michael, "I'm the oldest. It should have been me."
Mm-hmm.
He is matching Pacino fire with fire when it comes to acting. Like you almost think he's the way he's gripping the chair and shaking, and he's like, "You don't think I like nice things? I'm not stupid. I'm smart. I can run a business." Like you kind of feel for him for a minute.
Yeah.
And then Michael just sits back and looks at him and is like, "Dude, do you realize who you just yelled at?"
Yeah, and I think also I really think that the way John Cazale plays that character is that fast forward towards the later half of the movie, probably in Act 3, after the matriarch, the mother passes away, and he's just begging for forgiveness from Michael. It's almost like a kid who doesn't realize he's done something wrong, and they're just begging and pleading, just saying, "Please forgive me. I'll do whatever you want." And there's a moment in the way Al Pacino plays that character is just like, I could forgive you. I could forgive you, but I won't. At the end of the day, what you did breaks all barriers. It goes beyond what you can't. There's no coming back from that. And so it's the analogy of, when a dog gets rabies, the only way to deal with it is to put it down, essentially.
And it's one of those things like, in the first one, Michael waited until his dad died to deal with Connie's husband, who was beating on her.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in this one, he even tells the bodyguard, he's like, he doesn't get touched until something happens to my mother.
Yeah.
And then boom, you have the scene of Robert De Niro in Sicily, and the next scene you see the wife being put to rest, and you're like, Fredo's not lasting very much longer.
No. And honestly, like the fact that he was, and I think there's something much more powerful that they don't talk about in that moment, where he's just talking with his son, Anthony, of saying, I used to pray Hail Marys and I would get the fish. There's almost something, it's almost like he knows he's going to die in that moment. And so he's just preparing himself in a weird, like ritualistic fashion.
Well, he does, because when they later on, whenever you see the wide shot of them sitting in the boat together, he's saying the Catholic Hail Mary's prayer because he knows, it's coming.
Yeah.
So I do want to say I enjoy the animalistic change of Michael from Connie's wedding in the first one all the way up until this film is over. Like I said, it's like a sweet love-hate relationship, because it's showing you the old school symbolic bring up of Vito, but then you're also watching the bring up of Michael, and you're like, man, Michael's ruthless.
Yeah. And I think in the way De Niro plays Vito in the flashbacks, he's such a much more he's basically, I don't know if he really mirrored that performance off Pacino, but he's very stoic, he's very calm, he does, like when what was that guy's name? Don I'm gonna butcher it. Fasui, where his son comes into the Fasucci, when his son comes into the grocery store and says like, "Hey, you know who I am? I need a job," and basically takes over De Niro's job or Vito's job, and he's very stoic. He's very calm. He's like, "You know what? It's cool. I got you. I can find something else." And there are scenes of that with Michael throughout the first two films, where especially when the greatest example is when Michael learns the truth about his father's attempted assassination, any other character, I think Sonny would go ballistic. He's very calm, and he says, take me to see him in the hospital right now.
Yeah.
So
going back and seeing the conversation, I like the growth of Kate in this movie. And to me, she didn't get as many she got some key moments in this movie, don't get me wrong, but there's some scenes where she's matching up side by side with Pacino. And one of the biggest scenes that comes to mind is the abortion scene.
Yeah.
Where she's just like matching toe to toe, and she's like, it wasn't a miscarriage, Michael. It was an abortion. It was a baby boy as well. I had him destroyed because this thing cannot continue. Dude, has it been a minute since I have seen two actors go toe to toe like that in a while? Like, watching something like that today reminds me, and it makes me think, when is the last time I've seen two characters / actors go back and forth like that in a current relevant movie today? I had a hard time thinking about it.
Well, I mean, maybe because we just got done talking about it, but I would think, I mean, you could disagree with me, but I felt like there were moments of that in Frankenstein with Oscar Isaac and Jacob Elordi.
That in depth, though, and that serious, to where you just had to step back and silence.
But there's also, like, when we talked about this movie's a great example of when we talked about One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and we watch it, you're just like, okay, that is legit. That's like acting, like that. You know, you Al Pacino and Diane Keaton disappear in these roles, and you see Michael and Kay go at it in that scene. I think you can probably disagree with me. It's probably the most well acted scene in the entire film.
Yeah, I put that one up there, or with the Fredo conversation scene where he's telling Michael that he deserves it too.
Mm-hmm.
So I really did stop and think about when I saw an actor and an actress like that go back and forth. The film that popped in my mind was Marriage Story.
Oh yeah, when ScarJo and Adam Driver are arguing, going at it. Yeah, I would agree with that. That was 2019.
Yeah, it doesn't happen that much.
No. And I think we've lost something, whether you want to say it's original ideas, even though this is based off a book, or just the creative force of how to make a good movie. There's just something missing in today's films that we just don't get anymore. And this One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the Godfather, the original Godfather, whatever it is, Apocalypse Now. There's just something about, maybe it was just a time in cinema in the 70s where it was just, we're just experimenting with new ideas and try to get out of the studio controlled environment and whatnot. But those were, 100 years from now, people are going to still be talking about this movie. And there's just something inherently, I don't know if magical is the right word, but just natural. There's something natural when you watch this movie. It's like, yeah, like that, it's not only you think it could happen, but it's just like, yeah, I'm literally watching someone's life unfold right now.
Yeah. So at the end of Act 1, you get the famous line, "Keep your friends close and your enemies closer."
Mm-hmm. Which to me, that kind of summarizes the entire film, really.
At the end of Act 2, you get the, "I know it was you and you broke my heart," at 1 hour and 50 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, these movies, we talked about it in the first one a few years ago, for it being 3 hours or 3+, you don't breathe. Like, and I think this is what good filmmaking is, that even at 3 hours and 25 minutes, and yes, it's somewhat of a slow-paced 70s gangster flick, you're still appreciative of the time and the scenes that are not wasted in this 3-hour epic.
Yeah. Look, I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest. I was kind of dreading watching this because of the girthy 3 hours and 20 minutes. I was like, oh my God, when am I going to have time to do this? I kind of wish I had binge watched it like you did, but I just broke it up into hours. But like the funny thing is like, this is a perfect example where I'm going to watch an hour. I watch an hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to watch another hour. I watch another hour and 15 minutes. And by the time you're all set and done, you pretty much get the movie over. Like I finished it on Sunday. Where I stopped, I still had like 45 minutes left. And really, the 45 minutes is probably the fastest of that movie goes pace wise.
Yeah. I even put this down. I think you might being somebody who is a silent film fan. I think you might appreciate it. I put in movies like this, acting does not need dialogue in this film. This film was a throwback to silent movies because there are so many scenes where Pacino is looking at Fredo, or Pacino and Connie are looking at each other. But the big one is where Kay is at the house and she's trying to say goodbye to the kids because Michael's on his way home. And Michael walks in and looks at Kay. Not a single word is said. You can see the hatred that they both have for each other. And he just walks over and he closes the door. Like there are so many scenes in this movie that dialogue is not needed.
Which I think that scene where he closes the door, I think that's a callback to the end of the first movie. Yeah. But it's not only someone on this situation, it's not him, but his power and his quote unquote evilness has like, I'm closing you out of my life. I don't need you anymore. What you did is so unforgivable that you're lucky you're going to be able to see your kids, honestly.
Yeah. So, how important is Godfather Part 2 in just the history of filmmaking?
I think it's important because up to that moment, Empire Strikes Back hadn't come out yet. So I think up to that moment, it proved to the industry that I'm just making sure in my brain there are no like big sequels up to that point. I don't think there were. I think up to that moment in the industry, it proved that a sequel could just be more than, oh, we're just going to do a repeat of what we did before.
More than a cash grab.
Yeah, it's not just a cash grab. This is like we could do something serious with this, and it truly paid off. I mean, and put it in perspective, this and Return of the King are the only films to win the only sequels to ever win Best Picture. So,
but I don't know if it's been done since. Is this the only set of films to win back-to-back Oscars? I know it didn't win back-to-back, but the years it came out, they both won Best Picture.
Mm-hmm. I think so. Well,
because Godfather came out, won Best Picture. You had a year gap because it didn't come out the next year, and then the following year it came out, won Best Picture.
Yeah, that's the closest it's done. I mean, yeah, I think
Lord of the Rings had a chance to do it, but
Lord of the Rings had a chance, but Fellowship didn't win Best Picture. So this is the only one. This is the only film franchise that's ever done that type of winning streak.
And I believe Part 3 was even nominated for Best Picture, but it didn't win.
Part 3. I think we're going to talk. I'm sure we're going to talk about Part 3 sometime next year. But to give my opinion for dummies, quick analysis, Part 3 is not as bad, but it's nowhere near the level of the first two that people make it out to be.
Well, you've seen the Coda edition, right?
I haven't seen the Coda version. No.
Okay.
I've just seen the theatrical.
Two different movies.
I've heard that. I've heard even the ending, which I know is like, I'd love to talk about that one day, is even different than what Coppola intended it to be.
Yeah. So, I think this movie is so important as far as filmmaking, not only just for the genre of film when it comes to gangster slash drama movies. But I think just sequels in general. I don't think this movie is one of those movies that you can't even. It belongs in its own category when it comes to sequels, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, yeah, and I want to get your opinion about this because you said it on the outset. Is that why is this one? Why is this one in you would fit this category? Why do you think this is better than part one?
This is better than part one because you see the growth of the man, the monster, the myth that would eventually become Michael Corleone. And you see how I love the pictures esque of the back and forth between, like I said, throughout the entire episode, the dad, the upbringing, the revenge, the classic, I'll respect you. I don't have to like you, but I'll work with you. And then
Mm-hmm.
on the other hand, you just have Michael who's like, I'm not going to respect you. I don't have to like you, and I'm not going to work with you. I will
Mm-hmm.
straight up murder you and your family, and I'll do it my way. And he doesn't care whose toes he steps on as he's building his empire.
Well, and I think there is a line I don't remember exactly where it is. He says, "I'm not my father, so don't expect that."
Yeah.
That's probably paraphrasing it, but yeah.
But it goes all the way back to the senators. It goes all the way back to the court hearings, which those scenes to me are like very very vague, but they're
Mm-hmm.
also like some of the best short term scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
let's not even forget the scene where Michael finds out and lets Fredo know that it's him during the New Year's Eve party, and the whole Columbia outbreak thing is going on.
Oh, the Cuba rebels and all that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that scene itself, it's just so famous in so many different lines throughout history of film scenes. So to answer that question, like this movie is, I'm not gonna say it's far and beyond the first one because I love the first movie.
Here's a
I,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say like it's literally 1A plus.
1A plus. I'm going to read you something. I'm going to see if you agree with this. This is from Pauline Kael. She was an American film critic during like this time when this film came out. The Godfather was the greatest gangster pick ever made, and it had metaphorical overtones that took it far beyond the gangster genre. In part two, the wider themes are no longer merely implied. The second film shows the consequences of the actions in the first. It's all one movie in two great big pieces, and it comes together in your head while you watch it.
So I'm glad you brought that up because I don't know if it's a fan made or if it was an HBO original back in the day, but somebody did splice part one and part two together.
Mm-hmm.
But they edited it to where you watched all of Robert De Niro's scenes first, and then it spliced into the first movie, and then it spliced into the rest of Michael's story in part two. And it's like a 7-hour movie.
Part of me thinks that like someone did that on YouTube, and part of me thinks that someone actually like the Paramount did that and released it like on DVD or something.
Yeah.
Like I've heard about that before, where it's like a complete edition of The Godfather.
Yeah.
But they don't include part 3 in it.
Yeah.
And you know what? To be honest with you, like I said, we'll probably talk about part 3 sometime next year. But the way this movie ends, and more specifically, I think you could have cut out like the scene where, and I think it's on the, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like the cover for the DVD main menu or Blu-ray main menu, where it's the wide shot of Michael standing in front of the window as his brother gets assassinated.
Yeah,
that's
the main menu on the Blu-ray and DVD.
That is like, for some reason, it's such an eerie, iconic shot where it's just like, he's so far what he intended to be that there's no going back. And if you would include part 3 into this, he gets exactly what he deserves by the end of this trilogy. In my opinion.
I don't know if he got what he deserved, but I definitely know he got the ending that he knew he'd always seen.
You think like the final shot of this film is Michael kind of just like sitting in a chair contemplating his future? Do you think he kind of sees what you're writing on the wall?
So you're talking about the Last Supper. That's what I called it, where he sits down and he tells his family that he's going to the military, and Robert Duvall, who we haven't even mentioned Robert Duvall in this movie, and he's just as good in this movie as he was the first one as Tom, the lawyer. So, and Tom is telling me, your dad pulled all kind of strings for you to get into college, and he's, Michael's like, I don't want to do it. I want to do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And Sonny is disappointed, but he's also proud. And something inside me says that Sonny knew when he comes back from the military, Sonny's days are numbered. That's the look you get in Sonny's face.
Like he knew, like his time in the family, not so much in life, but his time as like writing things is coming to an end.
Well, see, because you even hear it in the first one. Vito always wanted Michael to be in his spot, but he also didn't want Michael to be in the family business. Yeah. He looked at Michael as he's the one that can get out, make a traditional American life, and not be in the business.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it in the first movie when Michael kills that cop and Tom tells Vito about it, and Vito's heart, he breaks Vito's heart. No pun intended. Because he finds out that Michael killed the cop. Michael's in Sicily. Now he's involved.
Yeah. And see, and looking at just going through the film synopsis, I didn't realize that dinner scene happened on December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day. I didn't realize that that was the whole theme of that scene. But the thing I took from that was when he's not recollecting, that's not the right word.
You're talking about in the Last Supper scene?
Yeah, the Last Supper scene, when he's like reminiscing about like that scene, that moment in his life. Fredo was the only one that gave him positive, like, hey, good for you. I'm glad you're making that choice. Like, Fredo's support is like, he's the only one in that scene that said, yeah, go do you. You don't have to do what Dad wants you to do. And,
but I think so. After Fredo's death, Michael sits down and he pops his head back and he strokes his hair and he sits in that thought, and he's like, he didn't want to do it, but the throne he then sits upon, if he lets Fredo get away with it and somebody finds out about it, Michael's reputation is on the line. Is like, he's soft. He'll let anybody get away with attempted murder.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, I was talking about like the scene, the closing scene of the movie right after the Last Supper was, I think in that moment, and this really sets up the opening of part 3 of, I'm way more dangerous than my dad ever was. Yeah. And it's almost like a saddened grief of like, the Michael that we knew at the beginning of this trilogy is gone. He's not coming back. And we're left with this like shell of a man who not only has he lost one brother due to this lifestyle, he has killed his other brother because of this lifestyle. And there's something very poetic there's something very poetic about that.
Yeah.
So you Hollywood, if you want to give us the big bucks and do more film reviews like this, please, we'll accept it.
Robert De Niro, I don't think did he get nominated for this?
He won his Oscar for this.
He won his Oscar for this. Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's how powerful this film is. We're 54 minutes. We barely have even talked Robert De Niro in this movie.
You had 3 actors get nominated for Best Supporting Actor. You had De Niro, Michael Gaza, who played Pentagelli, and Lee Strasberg.
So 3 from this movie.
Yep, and De Niro is the one that got it.
Insane.
So it's is there anything quote unquote? Oh yeah, and Lee Strasberg is the one who played Hyman Roth. So kind of the other 2 checker players that are going against Michael in this. And really Michael's kind of the one that kind of leads both of these on like crossroads that he's really trying to set both of them up in that moment.
I'm surprised John Caselli didn't get nom.
I know. Like Talia Shire got nominated and she's really in the movie for about like 30 minutes.
Yeah. Let's talk about what this list is that we're going to uncover in the next 12 months. The IMDb top 250. We don't have to go through the list now of what movies are on, what movies are maybe off. But in your mind, when you think of a list put out by, let's say, Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb, if you want to bring up another huge movie critic company, you can. In your mind, does this movie fit at number 4? Should it be higher? Should it be lower? What do you think? This is going to be a new segment, too, by the way, when we talk about these IMDb top 250 movies.
Man, if you're talking about like all the movies that's ever been made from beginning to right now,
that's what this list is, man. Number 4.
Honestly, I'm probably going to get some flack. I think it should be lower. I think maybe in the top 20, but I don't know if it should be in the top
20?
Yeah.
Top 20?
Yeah.
Oh, this can be a good year.
Okay. Like, so I'm for taking it down a couple notches. What do you think it should be higher? I don't think you'll put it above Godfather, but do you think it should be in the top 10?
I think it should be in top 10 without a doubt.
Okay.
Top 5, I don't know if that's pushing it because of the length. I know we say rewatchability matters on this show. The last time I've watched this movie, when did this 4K set come out? I think this 4K set came out 3 years ago.
Yeah, I can actually look that up right now. Go ahead.
I think that's the last time I've seen part 2. And I was not dreading the rewatch about it at all this week. And then after I got done rewatching, okay, let me put it to you this way. There's only a few select movies in my life that as soon as I get done watching it, I have to sit back. I let it sit on the menu for a little bit. I listen to the menu music, and I have to just recollect my thoughts about what I just watched. There's only a handful, maybe 10, of movies that are like that, and this is one of them.
Okay. And you're spot on. It came out the trilogy the 4K trilogy came out 2022, so 3 years ago.
Yeah. I think that's when we did part 1.
Yeah, because we actually did part 1 for its 50th anniversary. And 50th, this is the part 2 celebrated 50 years last year. And I tried to get us to do it, but I think we just ran out of space.
Yeah. So Coda Part 3 is coming next year, probably. I'm going to say as early as February, but I think I think it should be in the top 6 of all time.
Top 6.
This is just me probably being biased, and we're going to definitely discuss this list as the year goes on. But both Godfather films to me in the top 6. And this is my personal preference. So by this time next year, we will talk. Right. But this time next year, we are going to end the year with our top 5 plus 5 favorite films of all time.
Okay.
So that's what this whole list is leading up to. So, and I do want to sit here and announce throughout the year, we are going to have our top 5+5 favorite directors of all time. We're going to have our favorite actors of all time, favorite actresses of all time. We're going to tell all, we're gonna show everything and discuss our favorite of all times. So that's what we're gonna do in the next 12 months, and it's all leading up to this top 5+5 of our favorite movies
of all time.
Yeah. So
and probably just to give detail, some of these films that we're going to be talking about may be on this list, or some of these other films might not be on the list of this IMDb top 50. So just to preface,
and this IMDb list is just a fun way of looking at, man, this movie is on this list. Does it really deserve this ranking?
I mean, I'm looking at the list right now, and this is sandwiched in between The Dark Knight, which is number 3, and 12 Angry Men, which is number 5. So if we're going to do that, I got to be honest, because I have not seen this movie probably maybe 10 plus years. Like, honestly, I think, like I said, I watched it for the first time when I bought that Blu-ray Coppola set. And I've just never, like I said, if I'm going to watch The Godfather, I'm going to watch the first one. And that's just my personal opinion. I know a lot of people would disagree because, part 2 is good, but I just don't think it's as good as the first one.
Yeah. So that's definitely up for the debate. We'll get ready to talk about our favorite scene. 2 of my favorite scenes are up there already. I think one of my favorite scenes is going to be when Michael lets Fredo know that he's onto him, and he lets him know he knows you broke my heart, Fredo. You broke my heart. New Year's Eve. And then one of the other favorite scenes is the Last Supper scene. And if I had to pick one more, just to be a little different, it would probably be the scene where Fredo is yelling and explaining to Michael that it should have been him. It's a very powerful scene. What about you?
I'm gonna say the abortion scene. Two so powerful performances. I can't help but not put the Last Supper scene. I thought that was excellent, well done. And to be a little different, I'm gonna say just seeing Vito's origin as it progressed from like the funeral scene all the way up to getting his revenge against that guy in Sicily. I thought De Niro was incredible in that. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any others. Oh, something we didn't talk about was the Pentagelli suicide, where Tom goes to him in prison, says, Roman emperors, if they committed suicide, they would save their family.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think in that moment, I think he knew he was going to die, but Tom gave him a way out. It's like, look, your days are numbered, so it's just best if you take your life, in a very dark, sinister tone.
Save your family.
Yeah.
Not to mention the gruesome scene with the senator and the prostitute.
Which, why is it like in every gangster film, it's always a senator and a prostitute? I feel like that's like a common like trope in those type of films. Because
it's today's and 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years ago, it's the gangsters that are letting you know that the senators are just as corrupted as the gangsters, if not even more so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's a whole nother conversation.
That's our spin-off podcast. You'll have to join us on a later date.
Yeah. Star rating for The Godfather Part 2.
I'll let you go first.
It's no, you go first. I'll take it.
Honestly, if it wasn't for the rewatchability, I'd give it a 5 out of 5. But because of that, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5. Still very strong. Lot to like about this movie. I think there's a reason why it's considered one of the best sequels ever made. But in my personal opinion, I think that first one just did something that still to this day there's a reason why The Godfather is still mentioned in today's film conversations. What about you?
I'm gonna give this a 5. I think the rewatchability for me, like I said, when I sit back and just still take a moment to inhale what I just been watching, I think about the performances. I think about how uncomfortable some of the yelling and arguing scenes are for me. I think of the score. I think of the cinematography in this movie. I think of how the dialogue is not wasted. It doesn't need to use profanity 24/7 or nudity to sell its worth. And I think that's very few and far between in movies today, even maybe back then. And I think this movie is just done so well with such class that it just still lives the test of time. And it's all down to Coppola, De Niro, Pacino. They believed in these characters, and these characters grew so many years, 50 years since this day.
Two things to jump off your point, and then we'll go into next week's episode. I think this movie, ironically, is very claustrophobic. The way it's some of this, the wide shots and even the close-ups of some of the actors of just like, we're going to get your full, honest, raw, emotional reaction to some of these sequences. This movie didn't get nominated for best cinematography. I don't think that was a category back then, but I think it could have been nominated. I think it could have won, honestly. And I like what you said about the for it to be a gangster film. For it to be a gangster film, hold on.
Zach's potched.
I know. It's took it out of me. For it to be a gangster film, it's very clean. There's only one or two F-bombs. And I know you're a big fan of The Sopranos, and Godfather pretty much inspired The Sopranos. I've seen a couple episodes, and there's a lot of language in that. There's a lot more graphic violence and sex. It's kind of insane how quote unquote PG this movie is compared to some of the stuff now.
That picture right there. I don't know if you can see it, but they're all back there.
So,
and I think if we're going to mention Sopranos for a quick second, I think that's just HBO doing HBO things.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you would have given like a real director or a real, again, that's also today's, back then, 90s gangsters, New York style. So I get it. But Coppola cleaned it up, man. It was good, real classy. So we go from The Godfather to talking about Christian
moral
ghost stories and Christmas movies. Next week is going to be fun. It's going to be a unique episode. It's not a top 5 episode. It's not a profile. It is a profile piece, but it's a profile piece on a Christmas Carol conversation. We're going to get into Charles Dickens, and we're going to talk a Christmas Carol next week, whether it's the Alistair Sims, George C. Scott, Muppets,
Jim Carrey,
Patrick Stewart, Donald
Michael
Duck.
Caine.
Yeah. So any way you look at it, we are talking a Christmas Carol conversation. That is going to be our last episode of the year. Next Tuesday, December the 16th, a Christmas Carol conversation. And then we will take December 23rd and 30th off to celebrate and to be free for the holiday. Zach, Godfather Part 2, the movie lived up. The episode, I don't think we could be on here for 2 hours. I think we still can't give this movie the justice it deserves.
Mm-hmm.
I had a fun conversation.
Yeah, well, I think this is going to be a fun year talking about all these different films, and it's going to be all different types from left to right, up and down. And I think this is a great way to start it off. So I guess we can go ahead and announce we're going to do Vertigo next month, and that'll be like the next one for the IMDb top 250.
It's on there, right?
It is. I don't know where it's at on the list.
No. We won't talk about it now. For those of you who are watching and listening, yes, you can go spoil it for yourselves, but we will discuss it in a few weeks. Vertigo will be the next IMDb top 250. But Zach, next week, what does a Christmas Carol conversation mean to you?
So I'll just go ahead and just announce that I'm probably going to be the bad guy in this episode because I've just never been a Christmas Carol person, honestly. I get the story, and honestly, I'm going to get through a couple of the different versions before we get to next week, so that way I kind of can refresh my brain and see just the evolution of this story. But I know you know you like different versions of this. What's next week going to be for you?
Next week, I think, is just going to be a fun conversation of how Charles Dickens uses Scrooge, the character, to get through the light and the dark times of Christmas. We're going to go through some dialogues. There's a lot of dialogue that Charles Dickens wrote that Scrooge tells all in each different parts of these movies. Is he necessarily the bad guy? That's what we're going to talk about. Is he necessarily maybe the guy who, we'll talk about it next week. I think we're also going to read a little bit. I'm going to read some of just Charles Dickens in itself as maybe some chapters into the book, stuff like that.
Get your Santa hat. It's going to be good.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun conversation. So that's next week. Until then, Zach, I think that just about does it for this episode of the show. We talked about The Godfather Part 2. Anything you want to add about The Godfather Part 2 before we get on to next week's episode?
Very simple. Go Paramount Plus it up and watch The Godfather, whether it be part 1, part 2, or part 3.
Go check it out, The Godfather Part 2 on Paramount Plus. As far as next week's episode goes, check out some Christmas Carol movies, whether it be on HBO Max, Disney Plus, Paramount Plus. Go find something, a Christmas Carol, watch it, and come hang out with us next week and join us for another new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
Bye.
You broke my heart.